At exactly 6 o'clock every morning, before most people had even opened their eyes, the quiet streets began to echo with the steady footsteps of 78-year-old Robert. The cool morning breeze brushed against his face as he walked through the neighborhood park with calm confidence. His back was straight, his pace was steady, and his smile never seemed to fade. Joggers half his age often struggled to keep up with him, and new visitors were shocked when they learned his real age. Many assumed he had discovered some expensive anti-aging treatment or followed a secret medical program. Others believed he had simply been blessed with extraordinary genetics. But those who truly knew Robert understood that his youthful body wasn't built overnight. It was the result of small, consistent choices repeated day after day for decades. One morning, a 42-year-old office worker named Daniel sat quietly on a park bench, watching Robert finish another energetic walk. Daniel looked exhausted despite being more than 30 years younger. Long work hours, poor sleep, fast food, and almost no exercise had slowly drained his energy. His knees hurt whenever he climbed stairs, his back ached after sitting for too long, and he constantly felt older than his actual age. As Robert walked past, Daniel finally stood and smiled. "Excuse me," he said politely. "Can I ask you something?" Robert stopped and nodded warmly. "Of course. I hope you don't mind me asking, but how do you have so much energy? Everyone says you're 78, but honestly, you don't look or move like it. What's your secret?" Robert laughed softly. "If there is a secret," he replied, "it's that there really isn't one." Daniel looked confused. "No miracle medicine?" Robert shook his head. "No expensive supplements? Special injections?" Again, Robert smiled. "Nothing like that. So how?" Robert looked around the peaceful park before pointing toward the walking trail. "It starts with one simple decision. Never stop moving." Daniel listened carefully. "When many people retire," Robert explained, "they unknowingly retire their bodies too. They spend more hours sitting, watching television, driving short distances, or resting because they think old age means slowing down. But our bodies weren't designed to stay still." Robert explained that movement wasn't about running marathons or spending hours in the gym. It was about giving the body a reason to stay alive and strong every single day. "I walk every morning," he said. "I stretch after waking up. I climb stairs whenever I can. I work in my garden. I carry my own shopping bags. I keep finding little reasons to move." Daniel thought about his own daily routine. Wake up. Drive to work. Sit at a desk for 8 hours. Drive home. Sit on the couch. Scroll through his phone until bedtime. Almost every part of his day involved sitting. Robert noticed the expression on Daniel's face and smiled. "The body is like a machine," he continued. "Leave it in use for too long, and eventually it begins to rust." Daniel slowly nodded. "That makes sense." Robert continued walking slowly beside him. "You know," he said, "people often believe getting older automatically means becoming weaker. But that's not always true. Many of the problems we blame on age actually come from years of inactivity." They reached a small hill inside the park. Without hesitation, Robert climbed it with steady steps. At the top, he turned back toward Daniel. "I don't compete with younger people," he said. "I compete with the version of myself from yesterday." Daniel smiled. Robert then revealed his second habit. "I protect my muscles." Daniel expected him to describe an intense workout routine. Instead, Robert surprised him again. "I don't lift extremely heavy weights," he explained. "But I never let my muscles become lazy." He described doing simple strength exercises several times each week, carrying groceries instead of asking for help whenever possible, doing light gardening, and staying physically involved in everyday tasks. "Our muscles are our body's insurance policy," Robert said. "The stronger they remain, the easier everything else becomes." Daniel had never thought about muscles that way. Finally, Robert spoke about his third habit. "I respect food." Daniel laughed. "I respect food too." Robert laughed along with him. "No," he said gently. You enjoy food? There's a difference. He explained that every meal was an opportunity to either help or harm the body. Most days he filled his plate with vegetables, colorful fruits, beans, whole grains, eggs, fish, nuts, and healthy proteins. He still enjoyed dessert sometimes, but unhealthy food was a celebration, not a lifestyle. I don't eat perfectly, Robert admitted. I simply eat wisely most of the time. Daniel realized none of these habits required wealth, expensive equipment, or impossible discipline. They were ordinary choices that, repeated. Daniel couldn't stop thinking about Robert's words. For the first time in years, he realized that staying healthy wasn't about finding the perfect diet or the latest fitness trend. It was about building simple habits that lasted a lifetime. The next morning, Daniel arrived at the park before sunrise. Robert was already there, stretching beneath a large oak tree. I had a feeling you'd come, Robert said with a smile. Daniel laughed. I want to hear the rest of your 6 habits. Robert nodded. The 4th habit is something many people ignore: sleep. Daniel looked surprised. I thought sleeping less meant getting more done. Robert shook his head. Not at all. While you're asleep, your body repairs muscles, balances hormones, strengthens your immune system, and even clears waste from your brain. Poor sleep quietly speeds up aging. Robert explained that he followed a simple bedtime routine. He went to bed at nearly the same time every night, avoided heavy meals late in the evening, and kept his bedroom calm and dark. He didn't chase perfect sleep every night, but he respected the importance of rest. Your body cannot recover if you never give it the chance, he said. Daniel realized that staying up past midnight scrolling through his phone wasn't just making him tired, it was affecting his long-term health. As they continued walking, Robert smiled again. The 5th habit is protecting the mind from stress. Daniel sighed. That's easier said than done. It isn't about avoiding stress, Robert replied. It's about learning not to let stress control you. Robert shared that throughout his life he had faced financial struggles, the loss of loved ones, and unexpected disappointments. Yet every challenge taught him the same lesson: worrying endlessly never solved the problem. Instead, he focused on what he could control. Every morning he spent a few quiet minutes breathing deeply and expressing gratitude for another day. He stayed connected with family and friends, laughed often, and refused to carry anger for years. Holding on to resentment, Robert said softly, is like carrying a heavy backpack every day. Eventually it wears you down. Daniel thought about the stress he carried from work, old arguments, and constant pressure to succeed. He had never realized how much emotional weight he was asking his body to bear. As they reached a peaceful lake, Robert stopped and looked across the calm water. The 6th and final habit may be the most important of all. Daniel listened closely. I always give myself a reason to wake up. Daniel frowned. A reason? Robert nodded. Many people retire from work and slowly retire from life. They stop learning, stop dreaming, stop helping others, and lose their sense of purpose. But a body without purpose ages much faster than one filled with hope. Robert still volunteered at the local library, cared for his garden, read new books every month, and taught his grandchildren practical life skills. Every day offered something meaningful to look forward to. When your mind stays curious, he said, your spirit stays young. And when your spirit stays young, your body often follows. Daniel stood silently, taking in every word. He finally understood that Robert's youthful appearance wasn't created by luck or perfect genetics. It was the result of 6 simple habits practiced consistently over many years: moving every day, protecting muscle strength, eating nourishing food, sleeping well, managing stress, and living with purpose. None of them were shortcuts. None of them promised instant results. But together, they had given Robert something many people spend their entire lives searching for: a healthy body, a sharp mind, and the freedom to enjoy every new day. Over the following months, Daniel made a promise to himself. He wouldn't try to change his entire life in one day. Instead, he would begin with one small habit at a time. Every morning, he joined Robert for a walk. He replaced sugary snacks with healthier meals, started doing simple strength exercises twice a week, and made sleep a priority instead of an afterthought. Before bed each night, he wrote down 3 things he was grateful for, and reminded himself that progress mattered more than perfection. At first, the changes were small. He felt a little less tired during the day. His knees hurt less when climbing stairs. His mood improved, and he found himself smiling more often. Weeks turned into months, and the results became impossible to ignore. Friends noticed he looked healthier. His family commented on his energy. Even his doctor smiled during a routine checkup and said, "Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." Daniel realized something important. He wasn't trying to become younger. He was simply giving his body what it had needed all along. One crisp autumn morning, as the golden sunlight filtered through the trees, Daniel walked beside Robert through the same park where their conversation had begun months earlier. "I finally understand," Daniel said. Robert smiled. "Understand what?" "I thought growing older meant losing strength, energy, and independence. But now I see that many of those things can be protected by the choices we make every day." Robert nodded. "Age is just a number on a calendar. Your habits tell the real story." As they reached the top of the small hill, they stopped to watch the sunrise. Around them were people of every age, some jogging, some walking slowly, some simply enjoying the fresh morning air. Robert looked at Daniel and said, "People spend thousands searching for the fountain of youth, but they often overlook the simple habits that have been available all along." Daniel smiled, knowing those words would stay with him forever. Years later, when Daniel celebrated his own 75th birthday, neighbors began asking him the very same question he had once asked Robert. "How do you stay so active? What's your secret?" Daniel smiled, remembering that unforgettable morning in the park. "There isn't one secret," he replied. "There are 6 simple habits. They won't make you younger overnight, but if you practice them every day, your body will reward you in ways you never imagined." The greatest lesson wasn't that anyone could stop aging. Time moves forward for everyone. The real lesson was that healthy aging is built through small daily decisions: moving your body, protecting your muscles, eating nourishing foods, sleeping well, managing stress, and waking up each day with purpose. Those 6 habits don't just add years to your life. They add life to your years. So if you're still doing these 6 things after 75, don't be surprised if people think you're 20 years younger. Your birth certificate may tell one story, but your energy, strength, and smile will tell another.